This is the second portion of our lecture on American exceptionalism. Here I want to focus on Alexis de Tocqueville. This is a French nobleman who came to the United States in the mid-19th century. He toured the country, north and south. When he went back to France, he wrote a very famous book, still available in all bookstores and university libraries. It's called Democracy in America. In this book, de Tocqueville made an argument that still resonates today, and that is this. The American people are fundamentally different from Europeans. And he lists some of the reasons that we are different and why this difference has occurred historically. So I'm just going to mention a couple of these to you, and so you can use these ideas as we go forward to help you think critically about American history. De Tocqueville said that the American people are obsessed with individual liberty, that they don't want anyone telling them what to do. They expect to have their own land. They expect to be self-sufficient, and that personal autonomy is a virtue and a necessity. De Tocqueville also said that the American people, unlike Europeans, are obsessed with egalitarianism. Now, this is a fancy word indicating equality. De Tocqueville said that Americans, unlike Europeans, think they're as good as the next guy. There's a sense in America that anybody can grow up and become president. And of course, we've seen the validity of this argument. Look at Bill Clinton, look at Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon. The idea that people should not put on airs in America, that this is sort of a classless society. Now, we know this is not true, but we also know that the vast middle class in this country doesn't tend to resent the rich. They tend to want to become the rich. So the sense of egalitarianism is quite strong. De Tocqueville also said that in the United States, populism prevails. You can look at the prefix of this word, the Latin prefix pop, P-O-P, population. Populism here, in de Tocqueville's usage, points to the power of public opinion. De Tocqueville points out that in Europe, the sultans, the kings, the emperors could care less about public opinion. But in America, it's quite different. Here, de Tocqueville says that before a politician takes a stand on any issue at all, that they test which way the wind's blowing. What do the American people think about an issue? Once they determine that, then they can come out and make a statement on the issue and be safe. So the power of public opinion is paramount in this country, and of course we can see it today. Let's face it, politicians take a poll before they say anything to you. De Tocqueville also said that in this country, there's almost a secular faith in laissez-faire. And we'll put this word up on the screen for you. It's obviously French. Taken literally, it means hands off. In the context of American history, it means the government should keep its hands off your economic affairs. We continue to fight over this term. Your politicians will not use it. The reason they won't use it is that they don't want to sound educated. Your politicians want to sound like somebody that you'd want to go have a beer with. They don't want to use expressions and concepts that are above your head. So you won't hear the word laissez-faire, but you will constantly hear the Republicans crying about the size of government and the role of government, accusing the Democrats of wanting too much government. This is an old argument in American history, and it goes on. The verbiage may change, but the ideas have not. Laissez-faire will dominate American history up until the Great Depression. And once the capitalist economy collapses in the 1930s, FDR will come in and apply the New Deal to the Depression problem. And you'll see that laissez-faire no longer holds or has quite the hold on the American people after the Great Depression. But up until the Great Depression, it is a very powerful ideological tool. It says the American people are better off with less government. American people are better off when the government tends to foreign affairs and leaves us alone in our business lives. Now, in de Tocqueville's book, Democracy in America, he points to the origin of this exceptionalism. He says Americans are fundamentally different from the Europeans because the American people never experienced feudalism. This is a term you may have heard in high school. Feudalism is how the Europeans organized themselves for basically 1,000 years, from the end of the Roman Empire until the French Revolution. Feudalism, let me characterize it for you briefly. Feudalism is a hierarchy of classes, and you can see images of this on D2L. You can Google it yourself. Just print feudalism, and you'll see a number of diagrams and images illustrating this idea. A strict hierarchy of classes, with the king and the pope at the top, with the nobility and the lesser nobility, the knights, all the way down to the vast peasantry at the bottom of this vast triangle. A strict hierarchy of classes. There's very little mobility in this hierarchy. If you're born a peasant or a serf, you will not become king or pope. If you're born in the nobility, you are most likely to die as a nobleman. The average European peasant will never travel more than 20 or 30 miles from his village, and he will die a peasant. So there's very little mobility in this hierarchy. Now, let's further characterize feudalism like this. Not only is it a hierarchy of classes, but it is a system of reciprocity. Everybody owes everybody something in this system. The king and the nobility dispense land and protection downward. The peasantry and the nobility send food, service, military service upward. So the king is served by his noblemen. They collect taxes and defend his kingdom. The peasantry feed this kingdom. The wheat, the olive oil, the beer, and the wine are produced by the peasantry and sent up the hierarchy. So protection and land go downward, service and food go upward. This system held sway for, like I said, 1,000 years. De Tocqueville points out that the American people never experienced anything like this. One of the reasons is that there was so much land here that people could continue to move west and acquire vast tracts of land where they could be self-sufficient and independent and never have to serve noblemen. We don't have kings in the United States. And we don't have an institutional church in the United States either, with its pope and cardinals and bishops and priests. So the absence of feudalism makes American exceptionalism possible. And with that, I'm going to close this lecture on American exceptionalism. Thank you.